Hello, everybody. I just thought I would go through the expectations for this assignment. It's a little different than what we've been asking for the past 2 weeks, so I just wanted to make sure we are all on the same page. So the first thing that you have to do is get this definition from the video. So that hopefully has brought you here, at least for the first part. Defining soliloquy. So I'm not sure if you went over this last year with Romeo and Juliet, but a soliloquy is an act of speaking thoughts out loud, usually as if no one else can hear them. So in novels or any kind of prose, we are able to hear characters' thoughts through either narration or represented through dialogue. In plays, we don't have that luxury because all of the words we hear on stage are being spoken usually to other characters. So in a soliloquy, the character takes a moment to speak their thoughts out loud. Sometimes this is when the character is alone on stage. Like, for instance, the one that we're going to look at today is when Macbeth is alone. Sometimes it's when the character is talking to somebody else and they take a brief moment to look out at the audience and speak their thoughts directly there. Macbeth does this in Act 1, Scene 3. When he hears what the witches have to say, he has an aside where he's not really speaking to Banquo or to witches, to anybody, but he looks out at the audience and he says his thoughts out loud. And this is really helpful in plays because other than soliloquies, we have no chance to really think about what the characters are what's happening with the characters internally. We only get their external thoughts. What I would like you to go do after you get the definition down is annotate the tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow speech 3 times on your own. So we're going to do one together so you see what the annotations we are looking for might look like. What I'd like you to try to do is sift out 3 examples of figurative language or literary devices that you can find. So for example, and we're not going to do this one together, but I want to show you that the whole speech, it seems rather short, but there's a lot of stuff going on in here. Over here, life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage. This is a metaphor, right? It's comparing life, the idea, the abstract of life, to a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage. So right here, we've got a metaphor that you might be able to describe later on, even a personification if you want to go in that direction. So there's a lot of stuff in here. We're going to do one together right now. So tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, this is an example of repetition, right? The author is using a repeated word to prove a point. So why is repetition used here? So this is what I'm looking for in the annotation. You identify the piece of figurative language, you identify the literary device, and you explain why it's used. So the repetition, Shakespeare repeats tomorrow in order to give the audience an idea of how monotonous Macbeth is finding life. Right? Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day. Macbeth is finding each day filled with more and more dread. He's finding it very monotonous. He's finding it like an everlasting march till death. Very negative view of life. But he uses repetition in the first line so that we understand how Macbeth is feeling exactly, right? The way that Macbeth sees the days is the way that Shakespeare starts the speech. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. All right, so do 3 of those, and then at the very end, just a brief little summary. Well, what is this speech saying in your own words? How would you rephrase it? And that is all we're asking you to do today.